To advertise, contact us on 225-8465 or 226-7455 or email us at kaieteurradioads@gmail.com. You can even visit our office at 24 Saffron Street, Charlestown, Georgetown. Kaieteur Radio, covering you from coast to coast.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening, time check for you, 19 hours 1. My name is Amrita Koshal and this is your nightly newscast. Without further ado, let's get to the news in detail. It has been over 1 year since the government has failed to honor its promise to release the beneficial owners of the oil blocks offshore, which include but are not limited to the Kaieteur, Kanji, Orunduk, Kanuku, Demerara, Currentine and Berbice concessions. The issue was first raised in November 2020 by the Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, who holds an oversight responsibility for the oil and gas industry. Back then, he said that the government would seek to determine the beneficial owners of Guyana's resources, with first priority being given to the owners of the nation's oil blocks. Dr. Jagdeo had said that the government intends to have a greater understanding of the ownership structure of the companies with the said licenses, while adding that this is important for transparency and taxation purposes. Jagdeo said that while a number of the companies which are operating Guyana's oil blocks are registered in tax havens, including Barbados and the Cayman Islands, the government will ensure it goes after their information to ensure they pay their fair share of taxes. And moving on, amid growing concerns about the operations of some security firms here and also the misuse of emergency sirens and weapons by operatives, President Irfan Ali on Thursday said his administration is currently seeking to find a way to integrate them into the Guyana Police Force crime-fighting strategy. In recent years, a number of private security firms have sprung up, some of them with close ties to the former and current administrations. Concerns, however, have been raised over the years about many of these firms, particularly as they would recruit persons and hand them firearms with little training to use. At the annual police officers conference held at the Arthur Chung Conference Center, Liliandale, on Thursday, President Ali, during his feature presentation, said he thinks that by integrating private security firms in Guyana's crime-fighting strategy, GPF's response time to reports of crime will be improved. And in other stories, Guyana and the European Union on Thursday agreed on a detailed roadmap for implementing the Guyana-EU Forest Law Enforcement, Governance and Trade Voluntary Partnership Agreement, which aims to improve forest governance and verify the trade in legal timber. The aide-memoire was signed by Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat and EU Ambassador to Guyana Fernando Ponscanto at the Pegasus Hotel after a meeting with the various stakeholders. Ponscanto made it clear that the agreement in no way means that the country is cutting down on forest activities, but ensuring that it is done in a sustainable and legal manner. He noted too that Guyana has one of the best forest management systems in the world and that the concerns raised about the forestry regulation are currently being discussed in Europe. And moving on, among other questions to be asked regarding the leasing of the U.S. multi-million-dollar and more packaging plant, GAWU will seek to ascertain the cost at which the facility will be leased when it meets with Gaisuku next week. This was related to the Kaieteur News when an update was sought as to whether the union had received that is, any more information regarding the arrangement that will have a direct impact on union members employed at the facility. Like the rest of the country, GAWU had only learned of leasing discussions after the government announced the same at the Energy Conference and Expo held at the Marriott Hotel last month. Arrangements regarding the leased packaging plant to a 52% Guyanese-owned joint venture called Geison's K&B Industries, Inc. to be repurposed to serve some of the oil industry's manufacturing needs is one for public focus, since arrangements surrounding the construction of the facility prior to 2011 was a source of contention. And we now tell you that President Ali recently announced that Guyana is working on developing a police academy that will not only serve the country but the region by extension. The President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces also said that the government will use technology and ICT to transform the Guyana Police Force's capacity to carry out its mandate. During his address at the annual Police Officers Conference at the Orthachong Conference Center, he told participants to focus on the concepts that is, of restructuring, reforming, repositioning, repurposing, reorienting, and building a reliable police force. The head of state also said that the government will enhance the force's investigative capacity to make it easier for detectives to solve crimes. He said that it is his administration's intention to modernize the force's crime-fighting capabilities to align them with international best practices and standards. And now finally, we tell you Region 10 police are currently investigating the unlawful chopping of a 26-year-old security guard, Swain David of Wismar, Linden, which occurred on Thursday around 4:30 while he was on duty at the St. Aidan's Primary School located at Blueberry Hill. According to an official police report, David was reportedly sleeping in the guard hut when he felt a chop to the back of his head. The act was reportedly committed by two unidentified males with cutlasses who had allegedly ambushed him and dealt him more chops to his face and hand. David's sister, Shondell David, is however contending the police's report that he was asleep. She said at the time of the attack, her brother was making checks around the school. She further alleged that he was approached by the armed men who demanded his cell phone, and when he attempted to give them it, they started to chop him to his face, then to his arms. He then ran to a relative who took him to the Linden Hospital complex. David was seen and examined by the doctor on duty and was later referred to Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. His condition was regarded as serious but stable. The police say it is unclear at this stage what the motive behind this incident is. Investigations continue in the meantime. And with that, we've come to the end of your nightly newscast. My name is Amrita Kaushal, and you're listening to Kaieteur Radio.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.